What is going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to make a day trading journal. So I actually had someone comment kind of requesting this. So here it is. If you're watching that, you're welcome. Make sure to smash that like button. For all you guys that haven't subscribed yet, subscribe, please. It really helps. Anyways, let's dive right in. So this is my day trading journal. So essentially, everything that you see here is a great way to calculate any kind of day trades. I've day traded once upon a time in my life. I really don't day trade that much anymore, but I know the power of day trading, and I know staying organized and being able to track your progress is super important. So pretty much, let me walk you through what's going on here, and then I'm going to break down exactly how I make this step by step and reveal all of the lovely codes or functions, might I say, so this all works. So everything's dynamic. The date, when I put in a ticker, the date will pop up. Then you put in your entry and stop, and then a target will be generated. Your risk will be generated. The amount of shares that you need, depending on your risk, will generate. It'll say if it's either long or short, depending on your entry and stop. And then once you put in your fill price, so you can see right here, if I was trading Apple at $115.12, but my fill price had a little bit of slippage, $115.17. Then it'll calculate what my cost was. So that's exactly what it would cost. Then it would be my exit. When I plug in my exit, it'll then generate my profit or loss, the result, either popping an L or a W, and then the status. I could put in my status, exactly what happened here, just so I could keep track of everything. And then on top of that, all of this will be updated here. So you see my total profit, total trades, my win percentage, and my risk factor. Everything's dynamic, and let me show you. If I go here, let's pretend I'm trading another stock. We'll say it's Target, so TGT. I hit tab. There you go. You got our date is now in, and then the result, well, right now the position's open. Let's say, I don't know what Target's trading at right now. Let's just say $200 to make matters simple. So we'll say I want to enter at $200, and my goal is to exit at about 200, and my stop, might I say. So if I'm going long, we'll say my exit is $1, right? If it drops down to 199, I want out. So then you can see, here's my target, which I was able to choose what I want my target to be. So I want it to be double my risk. If I'm risking $250, it shows how many shares I'm going to need. So I'm going to need exactly 250 shares, and my position is long. Now, let's switch the two. Let's say I wanted to go short. So instead, my stop would be about 201. So if my entry is 200, I want the stock to go down. So my stop loss is going to be 201. I hit enter. You can see that updates. Now my target is $198, and I am shorting the stock, right? And if we, mess around with this, let's say instead it's about only 50 cents. Now you see the shares updates accordingly to however I want it. Now let's say I get filled at 251. Okay, a little bit of slippage. It will show what my costs will be, $100,000. And then exit. So let's say I won, and let's say it hit my target, which was $99.50. I'm sorry, $199.50. So if we do 199.50, there you go. It shows what my profit would be, $500, and my result would be a win. And then I could go here and say my target was hit. Now let's say that didn't happen, and instead the stock went up, and then I got stopped out at $201. You can see there's my loss of $245, and now it is an L for loss, and then I could change that, stopped out. Now it's even cooler, as you saw me going through all this was updated up here as well. Now my total trades are 29, my win percentage went down a little bit, and my profit went down. Let's switch this back and watch up here. Let's switch this back to, let's say, 199. You can see this went up to 3,442, and my win percentage went up to 48%. So Everything in this is dynamic. Enough showing off. Let's jump right in. Clean slate. We are going to create this. Let's start with all of the pretty graphics that I have here. So it looks like I go 4 down and then all the way over to J. So 4 down, all the way over to J. We're going to merge those cells. So merge all. Type in whatever you want. I'm just going to copy and paste this. Copy and paste. Okay, we're going to keep my color scheme going. Here, we're not going to bother with this yet. Okay, we'll leave it there, but we're not going to bother with it. Next, we want to plug in all of this. So I'm just going to copy all of this just to save time in the video and paste all of that. And I'm just going to kind of make these a little bit smaller so everything fits on the screen. Okay, great. Now we have that. So if you want, you can center all of these, make that the same color to keep everything all in sync or whatever you want to call it. What color do I have? There we go. Okay, and we will make that white, bold. Good. We are looking good right here. Let me just make this the same color because that will drive me crazy all video. Okay, great. Now we have that. We have this set up. We could start laying out the framework for what we need. So if we jump back to what I already have here, you can see right here we have this is yellow. All of these are yellow over here. And then these are yellow over here. The reason why I did that is because these are stuff that you're not really plugging information into. It's only the blue fields that you're plugging information into. So your ticker, entry, your stop, your fill, and exit. Everything else gets generated, so everything else will need a function. So let's just kind of do that. I don't know how many day trades you make in a month, but I think if you're doing over 20 or 30, well, props to you, and I hope you're winning. So let's just go down to whatever you think is reasonable. I'd say, what is that, 65 trades. If I'm going down to cell 70 and we're starting at cell 6, what's that, like 65 trades? That is a lot. If you're doing that, you could go down as much as you want. If you're doing 100 trades a month, by all means, go all the way down to 200 or 300 so you never run out of space. But I'm just going to fill down to 70. So these are blue because we're going to be changing those around. And then right here, all of this is going to be yellow. So we're going to do that. The fill and exit are blue. And, whoops, that is the wrong blue. And profit result and status is yellow. Okay, so now that we have all of that, something that you might want to do, which I really like, I like that this is at the top. It's frozen, so I could go all the way down, and this stays here. The way I do that, because you see right here, it doesn't stay as I go down. You just take this up here, and you drag it down to 5. There you go. Now it stays up top. It's frozen. So if you want to do that, by all means. Okay, so we're going to move on to the first function. I am actually going to skip date because it took me a while to make, so I'm going to have to build some suspense for it. We will get to it a little later. We're going to start with target, okay? So we're going to do an if function, all right? And it is going to be if is blank. We're going to have a lot of is blank functions, and the reason being is because you don't want to see your entire portfolio or your entire journal littered with a whole bunch of NA error codes. I don't like to see that. I like everything to be nice and blank when there's no information, so that's why we're doing that. So what is going to be blank? Well, if our stop is blank, then what we want, we're going to do comma, quotation, quotation. So what this is saying is if this cell is blank, then we want this cell to be blank. That's what your quotation, quotation is, okay? Then we want to do comma again, and here's where the math comes into play. If it's not blank, we want it to be C6 subtracted by D6, that's your entry minus your stop, close parentheses, multiplied by, now this is your target. This is your risk to reward ratio. For me, it is a 2-to-1 ratio, so that's why I have times 2. If your risk to reward is 3-to-1, then by all means put it in a 3. If it's a 1.5, then put in a 1.5. If it's a 1, you don't know how to day trade and you really shouldn't be watching this video. I'm going to keep it at a 2 because that's what I always did when I day traded. And lastly, we want to then add back to our entry. And then we want to close the parentheses and hit enter. There you go. It's blank. And again, the is blank, just so you guys understand exactly what this is doing. If I add a 0 here and hit enter, it shows a 0 because I'm saying if D6 is blank, which is this cell, then produce a 0. So there's the 0. If we got rid of that, if we got rid of the is blank function, then it'll just say NA. I don't like seeing that. So there we go. This is blank now. So if we, let's say we add in Apple, right? We're trading Apple. It's at, say, $200. And our stop is 199. Our target should be 202 because well, here, you'll see. 199, enter, 202. Because what it is doing here, it is taking C6 minus D6, so that's 1 times 2, which is 2, and then adding it back to C6, which is 202. Now, the really cool part about this is when you are shorting the stock, it will be correct. It'll update it the right way. So if we do 201, it updates it so it's actually correct. So it will go in reverse down to -2 points, right? So from 200 down to 198. So now that we have our target done, we get to move on to our risk. So risk is going to be very similar. And actually, we got to make the risk. So if you see here, see how I have risk up here, risk 250, and see how 250 is right here? So if I change this to 500, all of this gets updated. Now the risk is 500, my shares were doubled, my cost was doubled, my profit or loss was doubled. So if I change it back to 250, everything goes down by half. So we need to have that. So that's going to be, where do we have it here? KJM, KLM. So KLM. I'm going to merge these two cells right here. I'm going to type in risk. And then right here, we'll keep it at 250. So whatever your risk is, whether it's $50, 100, 250, make it whatever you want. And I'm just going to format it so it looks nice and pretty. There we go. There's my risk. I want it exactly how I had it on my other one. Put a line there and a line right there. We want those lines to be white. Highlight that. And white. Whoops. Okay, there we go. So there's our risk, right? We're going to have the other ones in here. If you want to add them now, we'll get to the functions, but we have risk. What else do we have? Win percentage, total trades, total profit. All right, there we go. So that's all set. We're going to get to these three in a little bit, but let's jump back to risk. So pretty much what we want to do is it's another equals if function. If is blank. Okay, and what we want is D6 again. So if our stop is blank, we don't want anything showing up. So comma, open quotation, close quotation, another comma. And then what we're going to do is money sign, M, money sign, 4. So where's M4? It's right here. And the reason why we're doing money sign is so it stays stagnant and it doesn't change. We're going to close those parentheses and do that. And what do I mean by stay stagnant and doesn't change? Well, if I take this and if I didn't have those money signs and I drop this down by 1, this cell would no longer be M4. This cell would actually pop up for result. Watch, if you don't believe me, if I get rid of those money signs up here, get rid of that, hit enter, and then if we drag this down, let's add something in there. See, it says result, so now it's pulling from that cell, and we do not want that, M5. So what we need to do is we need to put those money signs in place, and then it will keep it. It'll freeze that, so all of these will be M4. All right? So now that we have that, and what we could do for target, we could drag our target all the way down. Okay, so now the function's in every single cell. And then we do the same for risk. We drag those all the way down. And there we go. All right, we're going to move along to shares now. So shares is going to be another if function. Okay. We're going to open the parentheses. It's not an if is blank. It's just an if. Open parentheses, D6. Pulling from D6 a lot. We're going to make that D6 equals 0. Then we want close quotation. So it's saying if this is, it's essentially an if function, but it's just easier to write it this way. And that's because it's going to be multiple ifs. So then we're going to have to do another if. And then what we need to do is we are going to do C6. So if C6 is greater than D6, comma, now here's the math we want. The math that we're going to want is F6 divided by, open quotations, C6 minus D6, close quotations, comma, and now it's saying if it's not greater, right? So now what we're going to want is F6, not F5, F6 divided by, now we're just going to switch the two. So instead, we're going to want to do open parentheses, D6 minus C6. Close, and hit enter. So you're probably wondering, what just happened there? What are we doing? Let's not make that a dollar sign. Instead, we just want numbers. Not even, well, yeah, we'll do numbers. I want to get rid of the decimals, though. Unless you're trading on like Robinhood or something and you can have fractional shares, then maybe you do want that. But I do not. So pretty much what this is saying right here, and you just gotta have to take my word for it with the math, but it's just doing the math for you. If you want your entry at 200 and your stop at 201 and you're risking $250, you're gonna need 250 shares. Again, I really don't want to get into the math of everything, but you're just gonna have to take my word for it. So if we were to raise this stop to say 203, this then adjusts accordingly. And then if it was actually a long position, so say 197, you see it stays at 83, even though we did that. And that's just because of some simple algebra. Again, take my word for it. If you want to review it, by all means. But now we're going to move on to type. So now this is cool. This will say if it's long or short. So it's going to be another if function. And we're going to do D6 equals 0. So it's going to be similar to the shares function, right? Comma, quotation, comma, another if function. So we got an if inside an if. And then what we want is C6. If C6 is greater than, whoops, I missed a comma here. Comma. Always make sure you don't miss anything. So where were we? If, open parentheses, C6 is greater than D6, then we want it to say long, comma. Now this is saying if it's not, if it's false, then we want it to say short. Close those quotations, close the two parentheses, hit enter. There you go. It says long because right now we are in a long position. What if we change it to say 202? Now it says short, and our shares update. Everything updates so far. We are moving along. Let's just drop these down so our shares could drop all the way down. And I mean, if you are still watching this at this point, we're about in the halfway point. And if you haven't liked this video yet, what are you doing? Come on, please like my video. Really appreciate it. It really helps out my algorithm. Let's move on to cost. It is going to be another if is blank. Whoops, we do not want that. So if is blank. And if you haven't already figured it out, all of these functions are in my description. So you could take a look at that and that could help you out a lot. So it could save you some time. But if you want to learn, that's the point of this video. So if J6 is blank, so if the fill is blank, then we want to keep it blank, right? But then if it's not, we're going to want to do J6 times G6. All right, so we're doing the fill times the shares to get us what our cost is. It says NA. All right, here's where I messed up. I actually missed a quotation, a parentheses right here. So if J6, close parentheses, then we have the rest of the formula. There we go. Our cost is that. So now our fill. Let's say our fill was exactly 200 because that was our planned entry. It shows what my cost is. My cost is going to be $25,000. So we can drag our cost down. There we go. So our cost, just checking, make sure all of these are down here. Good. Okay. So now exit. Well, we don't even need to worry about exit because it's not a function we have to put in. Our next one is going to be profit. So we're coming down to the final amount. We have two long codes. Our profit and result are going to be our last two hard codes. Then the rest is cakewalk. So just stick with me, guys. We're going to do another if is blank. So if is blank K6. So if K6 is blank, our exit, obviously we can't have a profit yet because we haven't exited the position yet. So if it is blank, comma, we want it blank, and then another if statement inside an if H6 is equals, so now we're taking our long or short. So if it equals long, so equals long, then here's the formula we're going to need. So open parentheses, we want it to be K6 minus J6, close parentheses, times G6, close parentheses, comma. Now this is saying if it's not long, so if it's short, then we want J6 minus K6, which those flipped again, right? So if it's short, we just need to flip that. Multiplied, whoops, close those parentheses, multiplied by G6. Close and close, hit enter if I didn't screw up. So let's say our exit, our target was 196. Let's say we hit that, 196. There you go. Our profit would be $500, which is in line because that is a ×2 ratio. Our risk is 250, so our profit would be 500. So that means if we were stopped out at 202, then our loss should be negative 250. So now that we know that's all right, we can move on to result. This is going to be the last long piece of code. Here we go. Another if is blank. B6. So if B6 is blank, comma, we want it to be blank. Okay? Now we're going to do our second if. So if another is blank, K6, then we want it to say open. Okay, close that comma, right? And then we have a third if. So if, open parentheses, L6 is greater than 0, comma, then we want W for win. If not, then we want it an L for loss. 3 close parentheses, we hit enter, and that is it. So you can see our profit is negative, so our result is loss. If we then change this to that 196 because we are shorting it and we made $500, boom, it's a win. If we exit that, it says open because that trade has not closed yet. That was probably the hardest code of it all. Let's make it nice and easy now with our total profit. So our total profit is going to be sum equals sum, sorry about that, equals sum L, close, hit enter. There you go, it is a 0. We're going to make that white. Now we're going to jump around here. We're going to get back to our total trades, our win percentage, and our status, but we're going to jump over to date now. So we're going to hit equals. Our date is going to be an ifs statement. We're going to open parentheses. So if B6 equals blank, then we want date to be blank. If it's not, then we want A6, because that's the cell we're in, to equal blank, comma, now, open parentheses, close parentheses, comma, true, comma, A6. And now when you hit enter, well, first you're going to get a number. It may not even work for you, and I'm going to explain why it's not working for you. It may say ref. And that's because, look, if we're pulling from A6 and we want A6 to equal something, you can't add it together. Now, this is coding language. This is iterations. We don't want that. It doesn't make sense. So pretty much it's saying to add A6, and then if A6 then equals something, well, then now it needs to update it. So it's a never-ending loop. So how do we fix this? What do? Well, you need to go to File, okay? Go all the way down to Spreadsheet Settings, go to Calculations, go to Iterations Calculation, turn it on. Maximum number of iterations, you probably have 50. Change it to 1, hit Save Settings, boom, there you go. Now you're probably thinking, hold on, the date is not 0, there's still something wrong. Well, that's because it's set to automatic. If we set it to date, you may still think, all right, well, it's not 1899, and that is very correct. It is not. But let's clear that. Let's re-add it. There you go. There's the proper date. I guess 1899 is just where it, or whatever it was, is where it starts for whatever crazy reason. But now everything should be good. If you drop this all the way down, there you go. Let's say you make 2 trades in a day. You traded Apple in the morning and then Square in the afternoon. Boom, your date gets updated. You could even go as far as, if you want to know exactly when you entered, you could do that as well. You could just mess around with right here. So instead of date, maybe you want date and time. So, but I mean, I think just the date is really all you need. Just make that capitalized. Okay, so now we're almost done here. The iteration is also needed for this over here. And what I mean is for our, I believe it's the total trades. No, it's not. It's the win percentage. So the win percentage, we're actually going to be pulling from M. So we can't have, that cell updating with, it just wouldn't work the same way. So the iterations actually solves 2 problems for us. But let's jump to total trades. Actually, yeah, it's total trades. But let's do count. So if we type in count, we're going to do equals count L, hit enter, saying 0 because, well, there's no profit yet. So there's no trades that have been closed yet. Let's just make this bold, white, and center it. Okay, so now if we, our exit, let's say it was that 196 we're talking about. There we go. See, total trades, 1, profit, win, good. Square, so whatever Square's out right now, let's pretend it's at 150. Our stop is 149, so we're going long on it. We want to get to 152. We get in, say, 150.01. A little bit of slippage. There's our cost, our exit. Let's say we lose on this one. And let's say we're out at, 149.03. Okay? All right, we didn't bring this down, so we got to bring all of this down. There we go. So there's our profit. Our total trades went up. And let's drag this all the way down. There we go. Whoops, that is not a win. Oh, wait. I can see here, clearly I screwed up because if I was exiting, here's where I screwed up. Right here, I spelled long wrong. So that's why it is very important to get everything right. Now that long's right, there you could go. It's a negative. It's in for a loss. So just make sure, you got to make sure everything is perfect. Again, you can just copy and paste in the description and everything will be right. But I had that as an M instead of an N, right? So you got to be very careful. See, LOMG did not mean for that. So let me fix that by going like that and dragging this all the way down. Okay, now that that's updated and that's correct, that's good. We have that going all the way down. We are almost done here. Just a couple more things. So we're going to move on to status. Status is very simple. Right click and you go to data validation. Sorry, not data validation. No, yeah, I was right. Data validation, and do list of items. And then you type in whatever you want. So if you want to do what I had, which was target hit, comma, stopped out. What else I had? Comma, timed out, comma, manual, exit. Hit save. Then there you go. It turns into a drop down with those 4. So we could take that and drag it all the way down. Almost there. Okay, there we go. Now all of them are there. Last thing is our win percentage. Another really easy one. We're going to do equals COUNTIF, comma, M, semicolon, M, quotation, not quotation, comma, open quotation, W, close quotation, close parentheses, hit enter. Bold, white, center, and then right here, what we actually have to do, the very last part of this, is we need to do divided by M2. So we need to divide that by right up here, M2, our total trades. So you can see right there, our win is 0.5, or if we want to make that a parentheses, 50%. And then for our profit, we can make that a $sign. Cost, we can make a $sign. Our fill and exit, $signs. Our target and risk, more $signs. Entry and stop. Highlight all of this, make everything centered because that's what I like. And then right here, let's say, let's see. So that was target hit. That was, we'll say is stopped out. We can now widen that a little bit so that fits. So let's say then our next trade was Visa, and whatever Visa is. I know all these prices are wrong, but we'll just say Visa is $100. And we'll go short on that. So how about 150 we want out. So there we go. We have all of that. And we'll say we got filled at 99.99. And our exit, we'll say it was another win. So we'll say we got out at, how about 99.30. So there you go, another win. So our total trades updated to 3. Our wins updated to 67%. We'll say that was a manual exit. But this is it right here. I mean, you could add some other stuff, like if you highlight all of this and go up here, the filter, you could filter through them if you want. So if we go back to the big one that I had, maybe I want to filter through all of my profit and loss. So here's all my loss, all my profit. I then want to go back to my date. So there we go. You see even right here, a couple of the dates were wrong, but that's because I was making this and I was just haphazardly putting it together. You shouldn't have those problems. Everything should be in line. The very last things that I have here, you could see I have some color coordination right here. That's conditional formatting, a very simple thing. So if you take all of this, highlight it all, right click, go to conditional formatting, and then if we do greater than 0, then we want, keep that as none, keep this a nice green like that, we'll make it bold so we can see it. Say we want the green a little bit more neon. About like that, there we go. Hit done, add another rule, and then go is less than 0. Then we want it red. So I'll have, well, we don't want that red. Maybe you want that red, I don't. I want just the text red, make that bold, and hit done. X out of that. And there we go. I think that is everything. Let me just double check here if I missed anything. It really does not look like I missed a single thing. Oh, right here we can make that not percent. Make that money. Yeah, that is everything. So here we go. Let's, just so you can see, let's say then I traded Target. I don't know, we'll say it's $150. My stop was 148. So there's my target, 154. We'll say I got in for 150 and I got out at 151. And we could then put that in as, how about we were timed out? But you can see everything updates here. You can then make this, maybe you want to have it each month. So you can make this, right click and change the name. You could rename it. So maybe this is the month of January, and you could have February, March, April, May, June, all the way to December. So you could track every single month how you're doing, compare your stats. But that is it, guys. I really hope you like this video. I hope you're able to now use this for day trading and track your progress and stay more organized. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. You guys are my true fans. Love you all. Like and subscribe one last time. And as always, guys, I will see you in the next one.